Hello students, I'm here in the lab today, and what I want to do today is I want to look at a couple of fungi that we're going to be covering. And so first we're going to start with some lichens. So we talked about lichens in lecture. These are a symbiotic relationship between a fungus and an algae. So we've got three main types or body styles of lichens. The first one is crustose lichens. So take a look at these crustose lichens. Are very attached to whatever they're growing on. So this is a piece of bark that I picked up in Arizona near Albuquerque. That goes with it too. These are some crustose lichens, and you can barely see them on this little twig. These are from North Carolina. There's a good example of a crustose lichen. And you can see that it's very tightly affixed to the substrate. It doesn't stand up, very one-dimensional. Okay, next we have Folios, and here's an example of a crustose lichen next to a Folios lichen. So you can see the crustose lichen there and the Folios lichen there. Next we have our Folios lichens. So these are the leaf-like lichens, and you can see that these are a little bit higher up off the substrate and a little bit more three-dimensional. This one's got some of the reproductive little sac structures to them. These all came from North Carolina. And here is a twig with some folios and our next style, or our next body plan of lichen, the fruticose. So these are fruticose lichens, and you can see that these are very three-dimensional. So here you can see the stalk where this thing attaches to a substrate and it sticks up above, something like that. So much more three-dimensional with fruticose lichens. This is reindeer moss. You've probably seen this growing on roadsides before. It's quite thick. So there's a couple examples. This is more of a Folios lichen, so we'll put it back over here. Here's another fruticose lichen from North Carolina. You can see the stalk right there, and this thing just grows up like that and puffs off the twig. Here you can see a collection of different types of fungi. We've got our ascomycota on the top here. We've got a moral candlestick fungus, and then our lichen right there. Then our basidiomycota. The basidiomycota, these are the mushrooms that we typically think of. These are the big stalks that pop up in the woods. These are the bracket and shelf fungi that grow on logs and on stumps. And so I've got a couple of different examples of basidiomycota here. So these are all basidiomycotes. I'm not exactly sure what actual mushrooms these are, but this is a mushroom that pops up. This is a bracket fungi or a shelf fungi. This came from North Carolina. And this is another example of a shelf fungi or bracket fungi. This also came from North Carolina. So those are some of the specimens in lab that you're going to be responsible for the fungi lab.